Friendship isn't the big things, it's a million little things. Hello there, friends, and welcome to this, another episode of A Million Little TV Shows podcast. This is where we break down and discuss episodes of TV shows that you may not have even heard of. I believe these TV shows need a little more love, and that is what this platform is here to do. Each week we will be covering different shows from all over the globe. We'll be breaking down each episode, giving you the main highlights, and going through it bit by bit. But for now, I think it's best that we find out what's on the menu today. Hello there, and welcome back to this A Million Little TV Shows podcast. This is now episode 13 of season 8, and this is the last episode of this season. As always, we're not going anywhere. It's just convenient for me to break these into 13 episode series so that it's just a little bit more digestible for me to actually get it in my brain. I think I'm a little bit ADHD in that way of kind of seeing this and going, it splits perfectly into quarters of the year. So today is episode 13, and we are going to be going into Loudermilk. We're going to be finishing off that series, season 1, and it's going to be the last 3 episodes. And this has been a comedy that has kept me chuckling throughout. I've absolutely loved this show so much. I can't recommend it enough. This is my first run through of it, and it's just been a real joy. Something I'd never seen before, and something that just keeps giving every time I watch it. So I can't wait to get back into these episodes. However, let's have a little catch up. So Sam Loudermilk, played by Ron Livingston, is an alcoholic and a former music critic. He now seems to do cleaning jobs on the side, but he also runs a support group for people with addiction. However, where usually these people are quite happy to help and really giving, Sam Loudermilk really isn't, or at least he doesn't seem to be on the surface. He's very curt with the way that he talks to people and can be quite cutting at times. I described him in other episodes as a fucking dick, which really amuses me. However, he seems like one of those people who is on the surface horrible, but actually underneath he's got a heart of gold. And he's proven that when he takes in a young girl. This girl is around about 18. She had a drug addiction and she was a former stripper. She's been dumped by a boyfriend after telling him basically that she wants better out of her life. And she lost her dad not long before she got into drugs and alcohol. Her mother is the one who hired Loudermilk to actually look after her, and since then she has been pushing Loudermilk to keep her on at his home, where she is staying. Sam also lives with another guy called Ben, played by Will Sasso, and he has also been in the programme before, and he is Sam's sponsor. The only problem being is he has recently started drinking again, so it seems like he's fallen off the wagon for some reason, but we're none the wiser as to why yet. And then we've got Alison. Alison is the next door neighbour who has a boyfriend, Carl, but seems to have this link with her and Loudermilk. It's definitely going to be the romantic storyline throughout this series, and gives a different dynamic to the show, because when Sam is with her, even though he is still quite, a dick, he seems to be trying a lot harder when it comes to her. But anyway, let's get into the episode. So, this is Loudermilk, Season 1, Episodes 8 to 10. Episode 8, Invitation Only. So we don't start off the episode with the usual Loudermilk being a shit to someone, but we do start it with Ben. He comes out of his bedroom and Claire is on the sofa. He starts to ask Claire what time it is and she answers him. At that point he asks, yeah, but is it AM or PM? So it seems that his drinking has got so bad that he doesn't even know what day it is. He heads back into his room and he texts Loudermilk. He knows he's going to have a conversation with him. However, this is when Loudermilk is a dick. They go to this cafe and they can see it's quite full, and they ask a man who's just sat there if he can move over a seat, because that way they can sit together and they can chat while this guy has his breakfast. However, this guy comes out with a comment which is basically just one of those chirpy little things that you'd say just in jest to people you don't really know, and he says, "Oh, that'll be my good deed for the day," and he moves over. And as soon as he does, Loudermilk says, "Oh, yeah, that'll be a good deed for the day. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do for you. You're such a great guy. What a great guy." And he really, goes to town on this guy. And this guy's just trying to be friendly, and he's trying to have a bit of a joke with these guys while he moves over. Loudermilk's such a dick that this guy goes, "You know what, mate? Fuck you," and sits back in the place that he was before. And so now Ben and Loudermilk flank this guy. Sam asks Ben, "What is it you wanted to talk about?" And Ben is about to say that he's drinking again, but he decides not to. Tells him it's just nothing, and I'll talk about it later on. Tom, however, is getting this pitch meeting ready for his big meeting at work. Like I said before, he's promoting this alcohol company, but of course he's got Cutter on his case at all times, and Cutter just won't listen to him. He won't understand the business that he does. But it seems that Tom's such pushover that nobody else will listen to him either. So when his friend tells him he's bringing 2 ladies over and they're going to have a fun night, Tom's like, "I can't, I've got work." Then Cutter rings him and asks him how he's doing and seeing exactly how he is. But by the time Tom gets off the phone, his friend is already there with the 2 girls, and essentially they're going to start drinking. Tom says, "Look, I can't tonight, just give me a Sprite." And it's at that point that, stood in the window, he's handed a Sprite in a tumbler, and we see that Cutter is sat outside. He's obviously a former police officer, and he's doing surveillance on Tom. He's looking in through binoculars and listening to the conversation through one of those satellite things that they've seen on cop shows, that's basically picking up all the audio. And so he hears that Tom has this drink. He doesn't know that it's Sprite, and he hears Tom's friend hand it to him saying, "Here's your double vodka." And of course, Cutter wants to get in there and get Tom away from this situation. Tom's friend and one of the girls goes into a bedroom, and then the other girl starts coming on to Tom. She asks him to hold her drink, and she goes down on him. As she does, obviously, Cutter walks in at that particular point, and of course, picks up the wrong drink, so that when he smells it, all he can smell is what Tom was handed by this woman. He can smell alcohol in it, and he ends up tasering him. Because that's the kind of person this guy is. It's all or nothing with him. But how he tases him is a totally different fucking matter. Because at first Tom thinks that he's going to get breathalyzed, so he opens his mouth, and Cutter stun guns him in the mouth. I can't even imagine what that would do to a person, but fucking hell, it must have fucking hurt. The next day, Ben and Sam go to a meeting. Ben doesn't usually go to these kind of meetings, and he says he needs to catch up every now and again, just to make sure that he's on the straight and narrow. Obviously, we know that he's not. While he's there, however, and we see that Tom and Cutter are neither there either, but while Ben is there, everyone in the group starts talking about what were the enjoyments of drinking. Not the bad stuff, none of the stories that they've told so far, but just the fun stuff. What did you enjoy? And of course, while Ben sat there, all this joy and this great stuff that's been happening and these stories that people are coming out with, he thinks drinking's great. And he leaves the meeting quickly and jumps in his car and has a bottle of vodka next to him. He starts supping from the bottle, and while he does, he starts fumbling around with tape players and all that kind of stuff and doesn't look at the road. As he is, a homeless guy is crossing the street with a cart, and he takes out the cart, thankfully. But it could have been much worse. Ben then goes and speaks to this guy, and this guy is basically being a bit of a cop about it. He's asking him for his insurance details, he's asking him for his license. He is trying to get proper information out of this guy because he doesn't believe that this guy needs to get away with this. Ben's trying to throw money at him, but he's just like, "No, I want the police to sort this out." Eventually, when Ben tells him he'll go and get his information, obviously it's in the car, and Ben just drives off. This homeless guy has a phone as well, and so he takes a picture of Ben's car. When Tom wakes up, he finds himself in a trailer somewhere. He doesn't know where he is, and there is a body in the back, just either dead or passed out on the bed. He's in handcuffs and he breaks himself free, and as he heads outside, Cutter pulls up. He wants to get away from Cutter and tries to batter him over the head with a log from a tree. But Cutter's pretty tough, and he just turns around, and when he does, Tom tries to run away, and Cutter just picks up the log and throws it at him. It was a brilliant shot as well. He then goes on and drags him in this this trailer. And he basically tells him, look, you need to stay here until you are fully back to your normal self. Like, you need to get over this, you need to detox, all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to be here to look after you. It seems that Tom's ended up with a stitch on his head, and Cutter has stitched him up with dental floss, but the extra minty kind, because that'll help with the wound. And apparently Tom had also crapped himself when he was electrocuted, so he's just helped him out there as well. Tom asks about the woman in the back, and it turns out that this is Cutter's mother. She's a deep sleeper, and Tom just won't believe it. He goes over and starts to poke her and prod her and trying to get her to wake up. However, she doesn't, and he comes out and tells Cutter, look, sorry to tell you this, but your mum's dead. At that point, she appears at his side and he hits her in the stomach, obviously pissing Cutter off because he's just struck his mother. Loudermilk goes for a drink with both Alison and Carl's niece Lizzie, who is a fucking joy. She's really opinionated, she's really quite funny, and she's just as cutting as what Loudermilk is, except she is, I'd want to say 10, 11 probably, but she's really funny with all of it. She really calls him on his bullshit, but she's interested in music, so Loudermilk takes an interest in her. And this obviously appeals to Alison. However, when he gets a phone call saying that Ben has been arrested, she says it's probably a DUI, and he tells Alison, but Ben doesn't drink. He's my sponsor, he doesn't drink. And Alison has to make him realise the truth that, yeah, he does. Loudermilk heads back to the flat and finds something under Ben's bed. He finds a bottle of booze, and he also finds a diary with a date in it. And that date says Memphis's wedding. It turns out that Ben is going to be going down to New Orleans to go to this wedding of a woman called Memphis. Memphis is the former partner, Loudermilk's former wife. And so he's pissed at Ben for drinking. He can't understand why he's doing it, and he can't certainly understand why he hasn't told him that his former wife is getting married again, and why they're friends. He tells him that she contacted me to make sure you were okay. So it would seem that even though this is now a problem for Loudermilk, she has always cared for him and tried to look out for him. As for Tom, he is just trying to get away from Cutter now, because he has a big meeting at work coming up. He needs to secure this meeting for his future and make sure he gets a promotion when they come around. Cutter obviously doesn't believe any of this, and he just wants him to realise how important his life is. But again, Tom isn't an alcoholic. He isn't a drug user. He drinks, yes, but he doesn't do anything in excess. And so when Cutter tries to restrain him, he tells him, look, I'm not the person that is the one who had the DUI. And he tries to explain to him why he was there and why he's done all this. But as he does, Cutter once again tases him. And as he falls to the floor, it looks like Cutter is just going to be keeping him there until Tom admits that he's got a problem, even though he doesn't. And this is all because of the issue with Ollie, which we still don't know about yet. Episode 9, Highway 10 Revisited. So, Ben is getting ready to go to this wedding. Obviously, Loudermilk doesn't want him to go, thinks it's a stupid idea, and thinks that he should just disappoint her, but he essentially tells him, look, we're friends, and this is what I do for my friends, I'm there for them. And he says, I don't like to let people down. Loudermilk then points out that you let me down. You told me you weren't drinking anymore, and you've started drinking again. So it's just a little bit hypocritical from Ben to actually talk the way that he's talking. Loudermilk asks what type of a wedding it is because he's going to be coming as well, and heads off to go and get packed. He then realises that they're going to have to take Claire with them as well because they can't just leave her. She's only been in the programme a couple of months and it would be stupid to do that. But the whole time, Ben just keeps picking up a bottle and drinking from it. And Loudermilk's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this in front of me? You shouldn't be doing this in the flat. So Ben's like, oh, well, what? I can't drink in the flat now. I can't be drinking around you. And he says, no, I'm an alcoholic. I can't take you drinking around me. You shouldn't be drinking, especially you shouldn't be drinking. You're an alcoholic as well. And so they head out on the road. However, Claire asks, are you allowed to be away from group for this long? Like, you're going to be needed there. And he tells her, look, I've got someone sorting it. The new guy is going to actually be looking after the group, And by the time that I'm back, he'll have driven them so fucking batshit crazy that they'll be begging for me to come back. As long as the father doesn't find out, we'll be fine. Of course, as soon as the group starts and everyone realises that Loudermilk's not there, they all start having a go at the new guy, basically calling him a needle dick and goading him. Eventually they get so raucous that Father Michael walks in. He sees that Loudermilk isn't there and he asks where he is. But instead of answering, well, he's just nipped out, the new guy tells him the truth. And so Loudermilk and his group end up getting kicked out by Father Michael because they're just too unreliable. He tells him that not only has he had a second chance, he's had multiple second chances now, and Father Michael's just pissed off with Loudermilk now. He doesn't believe that he's a good leader of this group, and he's abandoned them. So they no longer have a place to go. Hopefully they don't end up in the fucking coffee shop again. Claire, however, on the way mentions that she hasn't seen Cutter for a few weeks now, and then we get to find out what Cutter is up to. Obviously he's still got Tom hostage, and Cutter takes his mother out. He's taking her and the dog for a walk, just so they can get some fresh air, but he's going to lock Tom in. He tells him that the TV's broke, and he shouldn't be snooping around. Instantly, as soon as he's gone, Tom finds a photo album. He starts looking through it, and he sees pictures of Cutter with another guy that he doesn't recognise. Eventually, Cutter comes back and finds him with this photo album, and Tom asks who it is. Cutter tells him that that's Ollie, and it's because of Cutter that Ollie is now dead. Tom doesn't believe it and says, you can't control the way that people are, you can't control what they do to themselves or what they put in their bodies. You can only be there for them, and this is why Cutter has been so over the top when it comes to Tom. He's just trying to protect him, not listening to the story that Tom's got to tell, which is that he isn't an alcoholic. He's just in a fucking shitty situation because he wants to rise up the ladder at work, and he's just trying to appease his boss. Cutter realises that he's right and he lets him go. Tom has this presentation that he's got to do and he bottles it. He absolutely fucks it up, but the only reason for that is because he hasn't been able to prepare for it. And eventually when he comes out, Cutter sees how devastated Tom is by this, because it's all on Cutter that he wasn't able to do the thing that meant so much to him. And now it looks like Cutter is willing to try and make amends for this. Back on the road with Loudermilk, Claire and Ben. Ben is the only one who has a driving licence, and while he is driving, he is constantly drinking. At one point, they get pulled over by the police, and he turns around and he says to this officer that he would never touch a drop because his father used to beat his mother. Loudermilk calls him out on the lie later on, and Ben asks the question, would you have preferred me to have lied and got out of it, or it to be true? And of course, that is something that Loudermilk wouldn't want on anyone's conscience, that their parents used to do that. I've come from that broken home. I know that it happens, and it's horrible to see that someone would use that as an excuse to get out of drinking and driving. They're much more of a danger to themselves and other people while they are on the road. Along the way, Loudermilk keeps dragging them into situations where they are having meetings. They stop off at one, and it's held in a barn, but Sam really lets out what is going on with him and essentially says that he's held a torch for Memphis for all these years, and now that she's actually getting married, he needs to make sure that she's doing the right thing. There could still be a chance for them, and that's all he wants. Each time we see that Ben is quite upset by this, that Loudermilk is feeling the way that he's feeling when it comes to his former wife, because he never knew that's how Loudermilk felt about her, even after all these years. They stop off at services, and Loudermilk tells Claire to watch out for Ben, and essentially tells her that she needs to keep an eye on him because he has the potential to do a runner. While he's at this services, he just stocks up on so much beer, and it's a ridiculous amount of beer for a man who's driving a car at this point. Loudermilk goes to the bathroom, eventually he comes back out, and Ben is gone, but the car is still there, and so is Claire. They go to report it to the police, and the police can't do anything. They're not even willing to go looking for him. They stay at the services, and can't even move the car away from the pumps. Eventually Ben rings Loudermilk and tells him where he is. It turns out that, according to Ben, he was kidnapped from the services and taken towards New Orleans. He tells Loudermilk that the keys are on the front tyre, and he should really go back to Seattle. Loudermilk says, I'm not doing anything but coming to New Orleans and coming after you. And then we potentially see why Ben has been drinking so heavily. He walks up to this apartment, walks in the door, goes and knocks on a door within, and the person who answers it is Memphis. She looks at him and invites him in, and as soon as he's over the threshold, they're kissing and embracing. And it would seem that Ben has been having some sort of affair, well, not really an affair, but having some sort of relationship with Loudermilk's ex-wife. Episode 10, Bourbon Street. So, Loudermilk is now in a hotel with Claire, and she knows that he's going to have a tough time of this because they're in New Orleans, and obviously it's known for being quite a party town, but it's only known for being a party town during like a big event, say like Mardi Gras. And it'd be unfortunate for them to be in a very heavily drinking town during Mardi Gras, with the Loudermilk being an alcoholic. Turns out it is Mardi Gras. So Claire believes that Loudermilk is concerned about this. And Loudermilk doesn't want to go out into the streets of New Orleans, and especially anywhere near Bourbon Street. Turns out they're actually on Bourbon Street as well. So she tells him that she's going to go out and she's going to go and try and find Ben, wherever he is. And when we see Ben, it turns out that he and Memphis are arguing. She's found out that he hasn't told her about what's been going on, and she's not impressed. She obviously thought that Ben would have told Loudermilk what had happened and that they were together now, but obviously he's bottled it. He was just hoping that the moment would pass and that would be it for both of them. But obviously it's not going to happen. I mean, the reason that Loudermilk was going there anyway was to stop a wedding. What he didn't realise is that it was Ben's wedding to Memphis. So Ben agrees that after getting some food and getting tanked up, he will go over to see Loudermilk and he will straighten this all out. They then head out onto Bourbon Street as well, and Claire is obviously looking for them. We see Claire end up near enough bumping into them, but Ben doesn't actually see her. She sees Ben and she sees a woman with a prosthetic leg and realises who that person is. She then sees Ben kiss this woman, thinking this could probably only be Memphis, since that's why they're all there. Claire has to go back and tell Loudermilk what the hell's going on, which is not going to be an easy task. And it's not. Obviously it's not. She tells him what's been going on and he's gutted. He's crestfallen. He doesn't believe a word that she's saying. Ben wouldn't do this to him. And so she shows him pictures and he doesn't believe it. He refuses to. After all this time, why has his best friend been doing this? After the drinking and now this, it's not like him. It's totally against his character and it's traitorous towards Loudermilk. Claire realises why Ben has been drinking so heavily over the last couple of months, and she starts to try and sympathise with him, but Loudermilk isn't hearing any of it. He tells her that you should be sympathising with me, not with him. He's the one who's done all this. He's the one who's the piece of shit. He stole my wife, and now they're together, and this is bullshit. He heads out on his own to try and find Ben, but Ben is also on his way to see Loudermilk. But when he sees Loudermilk walking out the hotel, he turns away. Loudermilk heads down Bourbon Street and walks into a bar. It was inevitable that this was going to happen at some point, especially with everything that's been going on, and he grabs a drink. And then we see Claire running up and down Bourbon Street looking for Loudermilk. We don't know how much time has passed, but when she finds him, he's in an alley and he's throwing up. Claire walks down the alley and she's like, "Geez, how much have you had?" And then the bartender comes out and tells him that this guy didn't pay his tab, and when asked how much he owes, Claire realises he's only had one drink. And he tells her, "Look, I knew it was wrong as soon as I did it, and now I'm out here purging myself." She tells him that he needs to start getting over himself. This has been 4 years, and he needs to start handling this better. Because the way that he does handle things, and the way that he has handled his relationship with Memphis, has turned him into a dick, basically. They head back to their room, and Loudermilk has a think of what's gone on overnight. They head over to the church in the morning, and Loudermilk speaks to Memphis. And by the way, the actress that plays Memphis has a fucking cool prosthetic leg. It's brilliant. It's like a gold fucking number. It's amazing. But while he's there, he starts talking to her about why he changed and why he did the things that he did. And she says, "I know all that. And Loudermilk changed everything after the accident where Memphis lost her leg because he wanted to keep her safe, he wanted to look after her, and he was the cause of what happened. When it's pointed out to her by Claire that Ben now drinks, she says, well, yeah, I know, and that doesn't bother me. And Claire reiterates he's an alcoholic, and she says, I don't care. I like to drink, I like to go out and get drunk, I like to be out having fun, I like to live my life. I don't want to be restrained by all these rules, and that is not the life that I lead. I won't allow myself to put those restraints on me, so I want a partner that isn't going to do that as well. And it would seem that Loudermilk was pushing his agenda on her, and she didn't want that. She didn't feel that she had the problem with alcohol the way that Loudermilk did. And this is why she's given Ben the excuse to start drinking again, because he feels now that he shouldn't have to restrict himself. He's found a woman that loves him and cares for him and wants to be with him, but also someone who is going to be fun with him and gives him that excuse to drink. But I don't think she realises how much he drinks, because on that trip on the way down, he pretty much drunk the whole way. Loudermilk realises exactly who she is now. What he's had in his head for the last 4 years is just a myth. He may have been in love with her, crazy in love with her at one point, but that's gone now. He can see that she isn't willing to support him, and even though he's trying to do the best for her and trying to get sober and trying to help people, it's not her life, but it is his. They head out, and Claire is told to go and get the bags ready. They're going to go home. Loudermilk goes to see Ben, and Ben tells him, look, if you need to punch me, punch me. But this is the first time that I've been seen. And this is where I feel for Ben as well, because there's been times in my life when I've been there and people haven't seen me. I've tried to be a gentle giant for people, and they haven't seen me for who I am. They've disregarded me, they've walked past me, they've gone on and done other things and not looked at me when I've been looking at them. So I feel for him, I really do. It's a hard thing to have to go through. Like, it used to happen to me on nights out. I would end up stood up against a wall, and people were just brushing past me, walking past me, pushing past me to get to wherever they needed to get to, and I was invisible. It was like I was part of the wall. So I get it. It's frustrating. And I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot. I'm broad as fuck. And, I feel for Ben at that point. However, Loudermilk tells him he's not going to punch him. He walks over to him and he hugs him. He says his goodbyes to Ben and wishes him the best, but also tells him that I set your car on fire. And he absolutely had. Ben had thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. His car was on fire. Loudermilk leaves and they go back to Seattle. When he gets there, he goes to see Father Mike and see what the group's been up to. The group has now got a new leader, but it's someone who has never experienced the lives that they've led. He is someone who is called like a sober coach or something like that. And he's someone who's never had a drink. He's someone who's never done drugs. He's someone who's never got into any of the shit that these guys have gotten into. It looks like he's barely got an addiction to coffee. And the group can't stand the man. The only person who can is the new guy, and everyone else just doesn't like him. They can see that he's just a tryhard, and he's never been through it. He's never had that experience, and they know that Loudermilk had. So they want Loudermilk back. But Father Mike is basically not interested in having him back. One of the sessions starts to break down, and Cutter starts yelling at this new guy, this new Loudermilk. And Loudermilk walks in and just tells them all, look, if any of you actually want to get sober, come see me. Loudermilk is now obviously at home, and just before he goes to the group, Alison comes over. She asks about how the trip was and how things have been, and Loudermilk tells her, look, me and Ben aren't speaking anymore. We fell out, and he won't be coming back. Alison tells him that she is also going to be moving because Dr. Carl has now found a place that's a little bit closer to her, and she can sublet it. So she's going to be going over there. Loudermilk gets frustrated at this because obviously Alison was someone that he does care about. She's someone that he does identify with, and he does like her, but he's just had this big issue with Ben going, and now she's going as well. And he tells her as much, that you do what you've got to do, but he basically thinks that she's making the wrong decision, and he insults her because he's not being real with her, and she feels it. She storms off. He knows that he's done a stupid thing, and he storms out of the room and goes to find her again, and he tells her, look, I've got 2 bags of fake garbage in there because I like to walk past it in the hope that I get to see you. I waited in the lobby on the day I bought that record player, and I sat down there for 2 hours waiting for you to come home. And he also tells her that if Dr. Carl's so fucking great and so heroic and so amazing, why is he asking you to move to an apartment that he doesn't live in, just so you can be closer to him? The man's a coward. They realise that they actually both like each other, and he tells her, look, I don't want you to go. And they end up kissing. And so, that's it for season 8. And that's it for season 1 of Loudermilk. And what a fantastic show this is. It really makes me laugh. It brings such a smile to my face. It's so stupid. He's a fucking dick. And the character development's great. The characters are funny. Everything that Loudermilk says to me is just a fucking stitch. I just can't help myself but laugh at the man. Because it's how I am. It's how I can be at times. I can be a miserable fuck at times. But I do it in such a way that I try to make people laugh while I'm doing it. And, you know, Loudermilk is very cutting and he is very harsh in some of the things that he says. And I will be that way with people that I love and care about. And they know that I'm coming from a good place, and they seem to stick around, so they know when I'm at my happiest and they know when I'm at a low point. But I do feel like me and Loudermilk are very similar at times, apart from the alcoholism. I very rarely drink, so there's definitely that out. But I do like this show so much. It's so funny, and I genuinely cannot wait to find out what's going to go on in season 2. As I've said before, you know, I'm trying to keep ahead of myself when it comes to my scheduling because I want to know what's coming next so that I can plan for what's coming in the future. Obviously, you know, Ginny and Georgia next season is going to be a live season, so it's going to be the first time I can do that. Whereas a lot of these series are out there, they've already been done, and most of them have finished. And so I'm probably going to tinker this now because I want Loudermilk to come probably back in around about season 10. Which obviously season 9 is next. So, speaking of season 9, I spoke about it last episode, and I think it's best to just refresh our memories of what's going to be coming next season. So, next season on A Million Little TV Shows podcast, season 9, we are going to have Ginny and Georgia season 3. That is the brand new season of Ginny and Georgia, pretty much live, because it comes out the day before. 0 Day, a political show starring Robert De Niro, which is a really thrilling and interesting show. Kevin can fuck himself because I need to finish that series. It was so good. Annie Murphy's great in it, and I just want to get it over and done with, and then I can move on to other exciting things. Sharp Objects, which was a drama from a few years back and was excellent, ended up having some stars in it that have gone on to do massive things and had some massive stars in it as well. Inside Number 9 is back, and that is going to be season 8 of Inside Number 9, and then we'll only have one more season left. And finally, I'm going to be covering a show called Saint X, which I just liked the premise of and really wanted to watch and figured why not do it on here. So that's what we're going with next season. Now, as I've said to you before, I am always trying to make sure that I am recording ahead of time, and right now it's the middle of March. This isn't going to come out until the end of May, and right now, as I've said to you before, I've got friends who've written books. I am also writing a book. I don't know when it's going to come out. I've written a few chapters of it. I'm pretty happy with the progress I've been making, but I don't know when it's going to come out. I need the inspiration and I need to sit down and do it properly, and this is what this is going to do for me now. So I'm taking a month off this podcast. The podcast will obviously still go out every week, so don't worry about that. And by the time you listen to this message, won't matter anyway, because season 9 will be on its way and I will be pretty much on it straight away. So the plan will be to record as much of that season 9, probably around about the beginning of May, to try and make sure that I'm ready for Ginny and George to come out. I'll record that the day that it comes out, and then straight into the 6th of June, I should have that Ginny and Georgia episode out, ready, done. But again, you will only hear this on the 30th of May, so it doesn't really matter. but I want to keep you updated. But I am writing a book, so hopefully there'll be more information on that soon. But I'm done. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope you're all doing well out there. I hope the world's not as crazy as it currently is, but I'm not holding out much hope right now. But I will continue to be here. So, until next time, I will speak to you soon. Bye. And that is it for now, amigos. And yes, I am as angry as you are at me for that sentence, but I hope you enjoyed the show and had some fun along the way. It means a lot that you are listening and supporting me. This is an independent podcast after all, and it doesn't get a lot of backing, so it is great to know that you're out there, you're listening, and if you want to come talk to me on any of the platforms I'm on, just come say hi. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I'm even a little bit on TikTok. I don't post that much, but I'm on there. And you can also drop comments in the comment sections on any of the platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts from. But as always, thank you for your time, and I will speak to you soon.